Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Pauper video. So how are you feeling about Pauper? I know that right now, for me personally, I haven't been digging Pauper. And the deck list that's in the queue today has kind of been chilling in the queue since about November. Brandon donated hoping to see a zoo deck in action, and I just messaged them and I was like, hey, can we put this one on hold for a while? I'm just not enjoying the format. And we decided to wait to see if we either got some bans or wait for the next like big set release. So here we are with the advent of Phyrexia All Will Be One, and let's see if I can refine some of my love for Pauper. So this is the deck list as Brandon originally submitted it. And essentially it is a deck with two primary plans. Plan number one is to be a Gaea aggro deck, with cards like Cured Ape and Wild Nakatl that grow as you control more land types. And some things like Matca Rioters can be endgame 5/5s if you do have Nylea's presence to make sure your lands are every type. And the secondary thing that this deck is supposed to do is have a core Skyfisher card advantage engine, where you use this to go and pick up things like Abundant Growth or Militia Bugler to go ahead and get very far ahead. And essentially, I think this deck is split in its focus. I don't think this is going to be a better core Skyfisher deck than decks that already exist, and I don't think this is going to be a better aggressive deck than something like Kuldotha Red. So in terms of its identity, I kind of felt like this deck was going to be medium at too many things and kind of fall apart accordingly. So I made some pretty drastic changes, and I'll let you decide whether or not I made the deck better or worse. So as I often do when I'm getting ready to record a Pauper video, I see what Alex Ullman of the Pauper Format panel has been tweeting, and I shoot him a message. And when I talked to Alex about this deck list a while back, he immediately suggested making this into a Tribal Flames deck list. If we want to lean into this domain aspect, there are a lot of cards that really can reward you for having all 5 basic land types. Tribal Flames is way ahead of curve in terms of power level if you can make this a 5 damage spell for 2 mana. And so we're going to add a few more tapped lands into the mana base to make sure that we can more consistently make that hit for 4 or 5 mana. And we're also going to try a couple of double strikers, with the goal being of having a combo finish of using something like a fencing ace with Gaia's Might, giving it +5/+5, and whacking your opponent for 12 in a single hit. That, in theory, should give us a more like dedicated strategy that really is something that we can lean into. So the hope is that with all these basic land types and a 4 of Nylea's presence, that we can more consistently turn on those cards. So we are going to be dropping the endgame card advantage engine in order to just have the ability to go like wham and massively hit our opponent for damage, be it direct damage or damage in combat. I think this is going to give us a better role and a more defined identity, and we'll see how this ends up playing in practice. As far as the sideboard goes, Alex recently wrote an article suggesting that Destroy Evil might be better than Dust to Dust for the Affinity matchup, and so I'm going to be giving that a shot. Otherwise, I'm largely sticking with the sideboard that we had before, although I'm going to move the Guardian of the Guild packs that were in the original deck into the sideboard, rationalizing that if we are playing against a very removal-heavy deck, just kind of having this as endgame insurance that we have something that is going to be very difficult to remove sounds really good to me. Alright, in terms of the algorithm, the Pauper videos could really use some love, so please consider leaving a like and a comment today, and let's see if I can enjoy some Pauper today. Let's battle. Wow, this is sort of wild. I'm going to be keeping my opening hand here. I really like this, but like we have 3 untapped lands here, which is very much not something that I was expecting, just kind of given how I built this mana base. I was expecting to have to take a turn off a lot of the time, but we're just gonna kind of go for double strikey murder here. Granith Healer. Alright. We are probably playing against a... Ooh, missed the second land drop there. Red one? Probably red one. Put the Slaughtermaster. I'll put the Slaughtermaster into play. So I believe this deck is Cycle Storm. Now my good friend Bryant Cook has played this a bit. I think my opponent missed their land drop again. All right. We're gonna do some ouchies. We're definitely gonna do some ouchies. I'm gonna go ahead and Rancor up my creature. This hits my opponent for 6 damage, bringing them to 14. I'll go ahead and drop a Fencing Ace into play. And next turn, I think my opponent's just dead to Gaia's Might. Okay. We'll see if I am dead first. Architects of Will, sure. Yep. Okay, there's another Songs of the Damned. So my opponent can cycle through a handful of creatures. Will continue to do so. That one costs them life. Alright, there's a ritual. So they're still going. I think what I'm gonna do here is update you every time they play a relevant spell, because me just going every time they cycle a spell isn't super interesting, I suppose. Alright, so there's a Reaping the Graves. This is one of the key cards of the deck. It lets you return target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. So my opponent is going to be able to return a handful of cyclers. They currently do not have any mana, though. Alright, there's another Street Wraith. Lotus Petal's banned now, right? Yeah. So I believe this is game over for my opponent. I'll drop a new land. This is an instant. This is an instant. Go ahead and crash in. After no blocks, we'll go ahead and Gaia's Might up my creature. And that'll end my opponent on turn 4. That's pretty good. Very happy with that. I'm somewhat limited on my ability to attack this deck, huh? I can play Pyroblasts for Dihada's Ploy and Repository Scab, I guess. Not overly impressive. I guess it also gets Mystical Teachings. Pretty slow. So watch out for Darkness out of the sideboard. I want these relics, though it's not like they're amazing. But I'm looking to cut 4 Journey to Nowheres. That probably means playing 2 Pyroblasts to fill the slots, and this still leaves me with 8 cards that can just go and kill a Stinger that's played out. Actually, this card's really slow in this matchup. I want to get rid of these 2. Does that mean keeping 2 Journey to Nowheres? Or do I just not play Pyroblast because it's narrow, and I play these because they can just get creatures that are played out? Not sure on this. I'm also just going to tap out a good portion of the time, so IDK. This doesn't work, right? This is green and white mana. I don't get to play my red spells, which means I have no threat. I'm going to go ahead and mulligan this one. Not necessarily an impressive hand. I don't know that I want to go to 5 here. In an uncastable red creature. And plan on just play Wild Nacatl into Rancor. This isn't as fast as I would like my hand to be, but I think that's fine. And play this land. That draw makes me wish I had thrown back a Radiant Grove. But it is what it is. Sure, that's fine. Okay, there's a second Baronmoor, so my opponent has made their land drop. Fencing Ace is great. That'll be a much faster clock than Wild Nacatl. So go ahead and play that out. I can Rancor it next turn. I imagine my opponent will probably need this turn to finish setting up, and then next turn is a more realistic combo turn. Alright, Tribal Flames is an okay pickup. Go ahead and attempt a Rancor. We're in. This is 6 damage. Pretty good for a turn 3 attack. Drops my opponent to 14, making Street Wraith-based lines harder. Expect to see 2 cards cycled end of turn. Oh! Deadly Dispute, sure. Okay, yep. My opponent now does have red mana if they have another Stinger that they want to play out. Alright, opponent's chilling. Journey to Nowhere is not exactly exciting here. Attempt another 6 damage. Alright, it is working. Opponent goes to 8. I'll go ahead and play out a Nicodle, and I'll hold up some Lightning Bolt effects, which can be relevant if Street Wraith comes into the picture. My opponent is dead on my turn 5. This is just 9 on-board damage, not counting the burn spells in my hand. Target player mills more 4 cards. Sure. Decent number of creature cards in graveyard now. See what my opponent can do. This is their moment. They are dead on board unless they have a darkness type effect. Here we go. Deadly Dispute. More mana. So Exploit has to have that body in play, right? Yeah, that has to have the body in play. So with that trigger on the stack, I'm just going to go ahead and shoot that. Then the exploit trigger doesn't happen. Opponent's still dead on board. Alright, there's a Reaping the Graves. At this point, I'm F6'd. My opponent's going to get their stuff back. Okay, there's a Dark Ritual. There's a cycle. Another cycle with Street Wraith. They're doing a bunch of stuff while all of these are still on the stack. I believe the reason to do all of this while all this stuff is still on the stack is so that if you draw an additional copy of Songs of the Damned, you get the extra mana for it. Okay, sure. There, yeah, okay, there is another Songs of the Damned. Cycle away. My cat is playing with a ball very loudly in the background. Going to apologize if those noises get on here. Very distracting to me, but looking at my audio, I don't think it's coming up for you. Alright, the stack has cleared. My opponent can now play Repository Scab, get back either a Reaping the Graves or a Songs of the Damned. They're going for Songs of the Damned for mana. Okay, so they are up to 11 mana. Lotus Petal not banned. I thought some of the fast mana went in Pauper when some of the initiative stuff got banned. I guess not. We've gotten the GGs from our opponent. They just kind of fizzled out. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, which is a deck building site for Magic the Gathering. If you're like me and you make a lot of deck lists, and I'm talking like 5 or more a week, you might be kind of frustrated with how hard it can be to find them in some databases. Worry not, Moxfield has all of these nice hubs that you can use to kind of mark your deck lists to make them more easily searchable and findable by other people who are building similar things as you are. Okay, no lands in the opener here. That seems like a pretty easy mulligan to me. This is a pretty easy keep. It's a slow hand, but it's going to hit like a truck, assuming that I can get Domain. And I think I'm going to throw back the Rancor and just kind of hope that I can do the thing here. Alright, so we're gonna get paired against one of the menaces of the format, and we'll see how good this actually is going to be against it. I can potentially just use Tribal Flames as a removal spell for this Swift Spear by playing like my untapped planes. We Kuldotha Rebirthing? No, we're not. Good. Alright. I will eat 3 damage off of that. I think I'm just going to Sorcery Speed, kill that thing. I don't think I want to mess around with trying to get more value in combat and then being wrong. I think that's very scary for me. Also scary for me is the fact that this is currently going to enter as a 3/3, whereas 4 is the magic number in Pauper that, like, I want to be at. Sure, that's fine. Oof. Well, opponent doesn't have Metalcraft yet. That's the good news. Still on all the Nylea ones. I can just kill a Swift Spear with Tribal Flames again, rather than play out this 3/3. 3/3 is probably not profitably blocking next turn anyway. I'm going to give this one turn to see if I can get this to a 4/4. This is the 3rd Monastery Swift Spear of the game, though. I think I'm just going to get overrun. These things having haste. Oh my god. That's rough. My opponent also has the land to Galvanic Blast. So this is... This right here is part of the reason why I'm not thrilled with Pauper. Like, this is what I'm trying to compete with while playing Brews. I have killed 2 creatures. It is turn 4. I am still just at 6 life despite that. Okay. I think I'm supposed to leave up Gaia's Might this turn as protection for this creature. Sure. No, it's fine. Cool. Yep. Yep, 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 yep. Yep, yep, yep. Yep. Alright. So I guess I'll block one. Yep. I will Gaia's my creature to turn it into a 6/6. But guess what? That lava dart is going at my dome. The flashback lava dart will go at my dome. And that means that I am dead this turn. I died on turn 5 after answering 3 Monastery Swift Spheres. Yep. Okay. I like Lone Missionaries, and I like Fiery Cannonades. Guardian of the Guild Pact is not crazy, but it is slow. I'm looking to play Control here, but I am definitely not the aggro deck. The issue is, like, a lot of these creatures that power up are just not going to rumble with Monastery Swiftspear in combat. Don't think Gaia's Might is super reasonable here. And if I'm cutting that, I probably need to go down at least a Double Striker or 2. And it might be that I go down multiple of those and just play this as something else that can wall a threat. Fencing Ace just lines up super poorly versus Swiftspear. And I can still Rancor up any creature. Is fine. But I think my opponent's deck is just in a tier far beyond my own. I will keep this hand. I have 3 land types for Tribal Flames already. And I can remove a creature on turn 2 or play a Lone Missionary on turn 2. Okay, wow, I got some respite here. That's kind of a big deal. Without anything to improve this or black mana here, I think I'm just going to go ahead and play out Lone Missionary this turn and start padding my life total. 2 mana for the Flamebreaker whenever you cast a non-creature spell, 1 damage to each opponent. That is acceptable. 3 toughness there means it doesn't die to this, which probably means that I'm just going to Lightning Bolt it this turn. Do I want to Tribal Flames it? I think I want to Tribal Flames it for mana efficiency here. So let's boop that, drop a land, crash in for 2, go to 18. Got some good stuff coming. This is until end of your next turn. Yes, end of your next turn. My opponent gets to hit 2 land drops with it. I've got more lightning bolts. I wish I hit my land drop here. Also don't have red. I don't want to play another creature when Fiery Cannonade is probably going to happen. I think I'll just pass the turn. There's the other land from Reckless Impulse. Synthesizer is strong. There's the Rebirth. I'm going to get Fiery Cannonade to clean up whatever happens in this turn cycle, which is nice. Okay. This would be horrifying if I did not have Fiery Cannonade right now. So, like, this is +1/+0 and haste to all of those. This is like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 that my opponent would be attacking me for this turn. Like, I have the out here. I'm very happy to have this out. But, like, my opponent still has 5 cards in hand because they have done experimental synthesizer nonsense. They have unfortunately missed my land drop again. The 4-drop may be overly ambitious as a sideboard slot. Sure. So, like, not only is my opponent's deck just incredibly fast, but it also has... Oh, cool. Yeah, that was enjoyable. So I have basically no castable spells right now. That's cool. Sure, I can kill that on my turn, but my opponent's going to get a shit ton of damage out of it. Cool. I take 1 from that. My opponent makes 3 more creatures. Oh, cool. Yeah, no, that's fine. I will take 10 damage. Go to 12. I will go ahead and Journey to Nowhere the Flamebreaker. And now I'm forced on the defensive. I have 5 uncastable spells in hand. Yep, okay. I'll eat 4 damage. 5 uncastables in hand. Cool. I believe I am on basically no outs here. Fantastic. Alright, GG. Alright, round 3. I believe we're 1-1. Opening hand mana doesn't really work. My threat is red here. I think despite the fact that I have 3 different land types, I'm going to mulligan. Do I believe in the deck? If I believe in the deck and I draw a red source, this has 4 threats, and the hand absolutely fucks. And if I miss on a land drop, I have 2 2/2s. I think I am going to just mulligan to 5 and not take the chance here. Yeah, this is a better hand. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to pitch 1 Tribal Flames, 1 Kirdape. Probably 1 Kirdape and keep the variety rather than just the maximum number of threats. Let's drop a land, call it a turn. Okay, we're going to have a repeat of last round. Yep. Love this art, though. Absolutely love that. I believe I play this one this turn. And drop this land tapped. I have a 2/2. It'll become a 3/3 next turn. And then doing this way, I can play both Kirdape and Tribal Flames next turn. Sure. What is this? Recast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on it. Remove an oil counter from it, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Okay, so this may not be exactly like last round. This one can't untap itself like a couple of the other ones that exist in Pauper, like Thermo Alchemist. I think there's another syllable in there somewhere. Thermo something Alchemist. Oh, that's unfortunate. That gets to kill my Wild Nicotl before it grows. That's acceptable, but not the best for me. Okay. So, do I just want to deploy creatures this turn? I think the answer is yes. Let's gum up the board, and I will probably find a more important threat to Tribal Flames than Sawblade Scamp. Alright. It's just a land. Womp womp. Do not have red to reflect that. And now my opponent just gets to ping me with this. So, do I want to Tribal Flames this card? Not really. But it's going to be worth at least a Lightning Bolt of damage if I just leave it around. I'm going to take that out. Like, my opponent is going to have plenty of oil counters on that thing between Experimental Synthesizer and the other stuff that they're doing. Okay, sure. Yes. Okay, yes. If you're just cycling here, I'm so good with this. It's when, like, Swift Spear or Kuldotha Rebirth or something gets into play that I'm much more worried. Are you hasty? You are hasty. Card's a little annoying because it's 1 damage in or out of combat. And because of that, I think I'm just going to take my 2 points of damage here. I do have Domain at this point. Boo. No. Like, I can bolt you, but then you can bolt me right back. That seems like a no from me. Alright, so now I am out of gas, and my opponent has this whole, like, Experimental Synthesizer engine. I haven't drawn a Kuldotha Rebirth yet, but, like, that is something that is very much in my future. I guess let's do this on my worst land. Go ahead and draw a card here. That's what I'm looking for. So this is a 3 mana 5/5 now. That is something that realistically can threaten my opponent. Alright. Found the 4th Chromatic Star. We'll get their oil counters. Sure. Okay. So now I get to, like, decide whether or not I want to attack. I probably don't win the long game versus this deck, right? Go ahead and cycle this. That's not nothing when I actually have the Domain ability. I don't think I win the long game here. Let's crash in. I might unfortunately trade for, like, Samurai Token plus Lightning Bolt. I think I just have to live with that. Then end of turn, I'm going to get pinged for 1. Opponent has their 7th land drop. Alright, the Samurai token can come in. I don't think I'm willing to trade with that. I don't think that makes sense for me. This doesn't have a sorcery speed restriction, right? It's once per turn. Yeah, it's once per turn. Rancor. Would I like to Rancor the thing that is harder to kill, or would I like to Rancor the thing that has much higher upside? Probably the thing that's harder to kill here. Let's do this. Swing in with both of these. Alright, everything's going here. Kill the Samurai token before first strike. This afterwards. I can kind of do the most damage to their board by killing both of these creatures. Like, in terms of raw toughness. Yeah, maybe I care about it in this direction. Yeah, let's take the largest number of bodies off the board. Black, green. I only get to activate this once a turn. Go ahead and boop. Do my initial damage, and then finish things off. Okay, that's good enough for a win. I got pretty lucky with my top deck there. I really needed this 5/5 body. So I haven't seen the Kuldotha Rebirths yet, but it seems like they should be in the deck. Still think I'm going for this and this. What did I take out before? I think I went down on double strikers before to get some amount of this stuff in. And Gaea's Might? Gaea's Might. I played Guardian of the Guild pack before, but it just got stuck in my hand. It is definitely that like mid-game sort of card that I want. Maybe I'll play it when I'm on the play and not when I'm on the draw. I treat Gaea's Might as a protection spell rather than this as an endgame blocker / unblockable card. Sure. Unsure about that Guardian of the Guild Pact. This hand has mana, but no real plan to succeed. I can just play some 1/1 double strikers and then just kind of pray. I don't think I'm into that. Yes. I think I keep this and pitch one of these. One of these will do a lot for color fixing. Don't need the second. And I fully have to just hope that I don't get run over in the initial turn, so which isn't where I want to be. Oh yeah, it's you. Okay. That's very good. That gives me a real chance at catching up here. Now, I can absolutely just get run over before I can deploy that card. And I don't 100% have it guaranteed on turn 3 or anything. Ooh, opponent's on 1 land. Then I will absolutely take this opportunity to buy myself time. Like, Nylea's Presence is also a great play here. But, like, my opponent has missed a land drop. This buys me a good amount of time. I'm very happy with this play. +2/+0 and Menace as long as you've sacrificed a permanent this turn. Understood. I think I want to play Nylea's Presence and Wild Nakatl this turn. Yes. Probably targeting my planes. I'll draw a card, fix my mana. I get to play a Wild Nakatl. And I do have like the necessary domain for this now. And hopefully my opponent just kind of like extends into this Fiery Cannonade in a way that's good for me. Alright. Bolt, that's fine. I'm only taking 1 damage this turn. Like, that's a-okay with me. I believe I just use Fiery Cannonade in this next turn cycle. And then I start playing these things out. It would be okay with Fiery Cannonade trading 1 for 1 here. I will take 1 here in an attempt to make Fiery Cannonade better. Nice. Fine. I've gained a 2 for 1 here by waiting on this. I don't get to double spell in this turn cycle, though. I need this for red. Oh, wait, hold on. I do get to double spell. Maybe triple spell. I'm going to go ahead and play a Slaughtermaster and then pass the turn. The Spell Bomb is on board to answer this, but I'll Gaea's Might to save it. And while I would really prefer to use this as like a kill spell, Leaving my creature on board is kind of sick right now. This is just a 4 damage a turn clock as long as I have the mana that I can realistically dedicate to it. Sure. Good cards are good. Definitely going to fall behind in terms of card advantage. Unholy Heat. Coming in for 6 damage. Understood. Alright. I'll play out a new threat. I want like a Rancor for this. I want something that will actually let me push through my opponent's resources. Yep. Okay, that definitely could have been worse. Yep. Gross. Yeah, I can't save that. Bring it to a 2/2. Uh-huh. I'm not going to fire off this lightning bolt in case I draw the other fiery cannonade here. I did not. You're a card late. This is the point of the game where I wish these were in the deck, but they are not. Sure. My opponent not actually have Kuldotha Rebirth. I haven't seen an artifact land yet. It only gets activated as a sorcery. This is a problem card. These are also a problem card because they are just worth 3 damage. Going to go ahead and begrudgingly take out one of these even though it's only doing me 1 damage right now. That represents so much damage in the future with double experimental synthesizer in play. At this point I want to draw my 5/5. Whiff. So I'm going to get buried by experimental synthesizer at this point. Cool. Like, I have extra mana here. That's not the end of the world, but that is taking me off a pretty substantial amount of mana. Like, that takes me off of white and also takes me off of full domain. Yep. That's a 4 damage lightning bolt. And I am dead on board. And there's a white card, and Raise obliterates me there. And I get another chance. I think when I'm on the play, I do want these. These Slaughtermasters are a lot less good versus the 2 damage spells that I'm seeing from my opponent. I'm going to board out 2 of these, I think. It's possible I want to get rid of Gaea's Might and just keep a higher density of creatures, though. Like, these are just double strikers that do block some of my opponent's stuff in theory, and like, it's a good mana sink. I'm unsure about this. This is awkward, but I will be keeping this. I think these are functionally the same land. I'm going to play this one because it does technically help me activate the ability of one of my double strikers. Raise is a brutal card to have to like be considering, though. Let's go ahead and turn this into a land that taps for everything. That'll turn on both of these cards. Already made my land drop. I don't want to be drawing more copies of this at this point. It's just slow to deploy. At this point, I'm kind of hoping my opponent plays out a creature that I can just Tribal Flames. Sure. Very fun. Yep. Alright, a whole bunch of my cards were just made uncastable, which is pretty brutal. I'll play this turn and pass. So I had a removal spell, but my removal spell was invalidated by a 1-mana land destruction spell. My opponent doesn't care about the card disadvantage because their deck is both so low to the ground and has incredible endgame card advantage. Alright, they did at least miss a land drop this turn. So I do get a realistic chance to slow them down. I am always playing this. I think I just do this now. And just take it out of the way. And then just guarantee that it doesn't deal me any more points of damage. I can play Lone Missionary later, unless another raise happens, but hopefully it doesn't. I don't know this card. Honest Furnace. Enters tapped, or you can sacrifice it later to draw a card. That's very good. Alright, double spelling is awkward here. I'm gonna take this as an opportunity to gain some life and create. I'm just gonna double check that I clicked on my own creature there and just create something that will trade with a Swift Spear in combat. Sure. Reckless Impulse is fantastic card advantage. Alright, so I am not actually going to successfully block my opponent's creature this turn. I do get to bounce that back to my hand. I'm not going to get to play. I don't want to draw all 4 of these against mono red. Please, I beg you. I'm not going to fully use my mana this turn. So I think I am just going to try to continue playing the game in a way that makes my opponent's attack step not great. And assuming that things slow down eventually, I have good cards remaining in hand. Okay, sure. I would love to draw one of my, like, 5-ish untapped lands for my next turn cycle. It's fine. Okay. Did not succeed. Forest, island, mountain, plains, swamp, domain. Man, I really, really want to have the ability to just cycle all of those cards. I just don't. Another one of my issues here is that, like, I'm playing this defensive war against a deck that can just do direct damage to me. Chain lightning. Oh? Let's say no to that. If I don't say no to that, Rancor is much more awkward. I do take 1 direct damage here from the Flame Breather. Other direct damage. Okay. Opponent has another land drop. Yeah, so I can't rumble with my opponent in combat effectively here. And now every spell they cast is worth 2 damage. This is brutal. I will go ahead and take a turn to start cycling these. I have to cycle another one here. I don't know, forest. Okay, Tribal Flames is good. Again, I can't realistically attack versus this deck. Cool. Yeah, so is that the double striker? No. Attacks each combat if able. That part's good for me. Oh, it's got escape. Sure. Alright. That's rough. So I lose that. I get the Rancor back. I take 5 in combat this turn. Opponent can Pyrite Spellbomb this creature in response to a Rancor so that I don't actually get to do my thing. And my opponent still has 2 experimental synthesizers on board, as well as this land that can cycle. Yeah, the power gap between our decks is insane. Alright. Okay. I will play one of these. This creature doesn't do me damage anymore. And then I can Tribal Flames a creature. I think I am going to pick one of the ones that just does not involve the combat step at all. But I'm so outclassed here. Cool, cool. I'm down to 7. Cool. I believe that means I'm dead. My creature gets lightning bolted. Yeah, I am dead. Okay, the lightning bolt is going to my face instead of at my creature. I believe both just kill me, right? There's just 3 unblocked damage in 2 different directions. I will concede. I don't feel like brews can keep up with the mono red deck at all. Alright, I will be keeping my hand for round 3 here. I have a very reasonable mix of lands and spells. I can play a Wild Nicottle on turn 2. Have Domain if I need it. I have multiple removal spells. I'm going to lose my fucking shit if my opponent leads on Mountain again. Good. I'm at least playing a different matchup. I don't want a 3rd Journey to Nowhere there. That is not appealing to me. Opponent's got Snowlands. My opponent has not played against Wild Nicottle very much, or alternatively really wanted that card in their graveyard. Tribal Flames is cool. Got kind of a tough choice this turn for whether or not I just play out another creature, or whether I get full domain going. I think I'm going to go ahead and play out another creature. Let's see what my opponent's got going on. Okay. This time it does kill. I don't know this card. ETB, mill 3, you may put a non-creature, non-land from among them into your hand. If you don't, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Okay. Frantic Inventory. Sure. And that's what they're going for. I guess I'm just going to move that out of the way so that I can continue attacking. It's not exciting to use a removal spell on a 0/3 creature. It really isn't. Brainstorm's totally fine. It's much less powerful in Pauper because the shuffle effects are not as easy to come by. Usually costs you a mana to shuffle with like an Ash Barrens, or you're playing a land like Evolving Wilds in order to enable it. Alright, Bolt is good here. Viridian is not a problem. My opponent can now bottom the 2 cards that they looked at with Brainstorm before, which is what we're seeing. I need a threat. These lands are all approximately the same to me in terms of value. Alright, I am out of threats against a control deck. That's a bad place to be. Okay. That is a 1 mana 5/5. Does it have Ward as well? It has Ward 2 as well. Forest, Plains, Swamp, Island, Mountain. I think I am supposed to do my opponent's turn Tribal Flames this and pay the 2. Rather than one of my sorcery speed cards to better play around Counterspell. Actually, if I'm going to do it, I should probably just do it right here. Tribal Flames is a sorcery. Good shit, Phil. Alright, I'll take 5. That's on me. That was just actively a misplay on my end. So let's go ahead and attempt this. Pay the 2. Replicate. Alright, that's fine. That is occurring. I don't believe I forgot Tribal Flames as a sorcery. I know that. Pretty big mistake here, too. I'll go to 10. I get 2 more chances at answering this. Let's Journey to Nowhere. I guess I should have Journeyed to Nowhere last turn. Okay. Let's try again. I can pay for the Ward 2 now. Alright, I potentially took 5 more damage than I needed to, which is huge. If my opponent just taps 1 land and plays another. Okay, no, they did not. Let's go ahead and cycle this. Alright, we've got Cured Apes. I'm going to go ahead and play out both of those. Seems like my opponent doesn't have interaction right now. Given that, I'm going to go ahead and just drop this on a creature while I feel like it's safe. Okay, mistake from my opponent there. If they scred that in response to me casting Rancor, I don't get the Rancor back. Okay. The cycle. Opponent now has multiple red mana. Threat, please. No threat. I can make any threat scary as hell once I top deck 1. Okay. So, remind me, this gets back non-creature, non-land. My opponent has picked up a Brainstorm. Not really sure that that's better than a removal spell. I don't know their deck all that well. Alright, play a creature. I believe I try to Rancor this now. So now, go ahead and just protect that. Boop. Alright, good stuff. Not using that offensively like I want to, but that is what it is. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Sure. Well, I will make my creature slightly bigger. Oh, that's just rude. All right, I'm dead to a fractal token. This counts in exile as well. I can't even graveyard hate that out. That's rough. Pyroblast seems good here. Destroy Evil seems reasonable. I need to check the wording of the Serpent to see if that one counts exile too. No, it's graveyard only, so I will probably play these still. Rancor is a lot less appealing versus all of these removal spells that are going to target my things while they are on the stack. Might still need it. I don't feel good about Fencing Ace here. This one at least can pump itself. Fencing Ace as an attacker is not going to get through a 0/3, which is sort of a problem. Oh, I also want these. These are huge. Alright, how am I feeling about this stuff? I'm going to treat Gaia's Might as a protection spell. Get rid of Rancors. And go down on these, I think. Gives me a pretty reasonable plan. No land. Plenty of land. No threats, which I do not like. But I don't think it's worth going to 5. Let's pitch a Plains here. I think I want, in theory, to have red available next turn. It probably doesn't matter much which one of these I play, because I'm not going to destroy evil on turn 1. I guess lightning bolt can matter a little bit later on. Not looking to draw land right now. Need threats badly. And that's a threat. I'll take that. I can just pass the turn here and not give my opponent a chance to use mana. I think I like that. Maybe I'm wrong and I just need to jam the threat, but it just seems like my opponent just 1-for-1s this, and I can waste another turn worth of their mana by waiting. Not doing a good job of drawing relevant things. Now I at least play around something that taxes me for 2 mana. Okay, yep, that's fine. Kind of expected something like that was going to happen. Ooh, the perfect brainstorm with the Evolving Wilds already in play. Oh, they didn't even want to fetch. The cards are that good. The big yikes. Have to land heavy hand and have ripped lands off the top. Life's not good here. Life is not good. Like, my opponent's not doing anything to kill me, but they are just working towards their 5/5 creatures just being able to be in play. Sure. Alright. We'll play Little Ape. Just eats it to Scred. Okay, it's a Bolt instead. No play from my opponent. I have too much mana. Uh-huh. Sure. I believe I wait until my turn to answer that in case I draw a Pyroblast to help back this up. Oh, cool. Yeah, I will wait till my turn to see if I draw a Pyroblast to back that up. Negative. Let us attempt to destroy evil. Paying the ward. It worked. My opponent's got 1 card left. I'm just going to drop my own 5/5. Oh, 4/4. This is the blue one. Okay. So my opponent is getting the first attack here. It's not great for me. I can block and attempt to Lightning Bolt. That's a little risky when my opponent has 2 cards. I don't think I'm willing to do that. Especially since, like, I can just draw the Nylea's enchantment and just more naturally and comfortably trade with it in combat. If I take some more damage, like, I will probably be forced to do that, but, like, my opponent would have more cards in hand left over afterwards. Now I probably just attempt to blast this in my opponent's upkeep. I don't think it works. My opponent has 3 cards in hand, but it is worth trying. Pay for ward. Yep. I think this is safer than going for block and lightning bolt with pyroblast protection, because if something goes wrong there, I think I'm just dead. Deck 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have literally half of my lands. I have 18 lands. Rough. So now I have to stop and attempt this whole lightning bolt thing. I think I'm just buried. So I am working so much harder for my 5/5 than my opponent is. Cool, cool. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'll attempt to kill this. I'm not even waiting to play the ward cost. I believe I am now deterministically dead. I just don't have something that can answer both of those cards simultaneously. Alright, I will concede. GG. Alright, don't have enough mana here for this hand to be functional. Same, unfortunately, with this one. I do have enough mana with this hand, not the appropriate colors. I'm going to be keeping this one. White card that I can't cast goes back. And I think I pitched the Tribal Flames that is only doing 2 damage. My opponent's going to 5 as well, so hopefully their hand is similarly weak. Let's go ahead and see where this goes. Got a 2/3 for 2 mana on turn 2, which is okay. Alright. Play against the other top tier deck now. We're going to play against Affinity. And unfortunately, my creatures are going to be very much in, like, Galv Blast range, including this one. We're not going to be anywhere close to a 5/5 with this right now. Kind of due to how our lands have randomly appeared on this mulligan. My issue is that my opponent is going to have a gajillion draw twos that they can just play. So, like, their mulligan to 5 means so much less than mine does. I essentially have to try to aggro my opponent out before they can start playing free or highly discounted 4/4s. So let's drop a creature. This is an overcosted 2/2 that hopefully will get better. I need to just play it out now for mana efficiency. And I'll get my beats in while I can. I imagine this next turn here for my opponent is the turn where, like, the card quality gap is going to be very apparent. Okay, there's a free 2/2. Alright, this helps a bit. Means that my attacks are now reasonable. I'm not going to Tribal Flames a Frogmite. That just doesn't feel like a good trade for me when things like Mirror Enforcer are going to exist in the not too distant future. It's fine. I was probably just going to Deadly Dispute away the Frogmite after blocking. Okay, Reckoner's Bargain instead. Gaining 4 life. Knock my opponent back to 20. Tribal Flames is currently Lightning Bolt. Alright. Artifact count is 5. Tribal Flames is not currently killing Mirror Enforcer. Oh. Yep. My opponent has made an indestructible 3/3 flyer. Cool. My opponent almost certainly has, like, a Galvanic Blast, as they have, like, they tapped last way in a turn that did not allow them to attack for 3. Yep. So, I think I'm officially at the point where I've lost this game. The Tribal Flames can't deal with this. Not worth using the Tribal Flames on a 1/1. And, yeah. And this sort of stuff that just... Sure. Wow, my opponent's not attacking. That's probably not great for me. That just probably means that they know they've got me beat and they don't even need to bother to attack. That's rough. I don't have black mana to activate this, by the way. Sure. There's yet another artifact land. Just cycle a Wellspring. What's going to be real fun is I'm going to Tribal Flames this, and then my opponent will just play a Blood Fountain and bring it back. So I'll eat the 3 damage in combat, because I don't want to just throw this away for free, but, like, this is a thing that is also going to happen. My choices don't matter anymore. Like, I point a Tribal Flames at this, my opponent sacrifices it to kill everything. And this being indestructible and just getting to, like, stay around after this is absolutely brutal. I guess I will go ahead and Lightning Bolt this, force the Wellspring sack. Also kills Kenku Artificer. Then I'll Tribal Flames Mirror Enforcer after it already has 1 damage marked on it. My opponent's, like, currently has 2 cards in hand, the 3rd card in the form of Ichor Wellspring, and just an indestructible land that's very hard to deal with. Alright, cool. I'll Tribal Flames finish that off. Oh, it's a counterspell. I have 3 mana. I'll pay. Throw away a card there. It's not gonna matter. Like, they have a 3/3 indestructible creature that I can't really deal with. Sure. Thank you, deck. Should technically hold that to bluff, but my spirit is broken. Alright. I'm just gonna concede to that. We're not beating this. I guess I need Pyroblast for Kenku Artificers while they're on the stack so they can't make things indestructible. Guess I need Destroy Evils to try to get rid of Makeshift Munitions, as well as Exile Mirror Enforcers. Relic is playable for Blood Fountain, but maybe not exciting. Opponent's deck is so much more powerful than mine. Am I supposed to approach this? Am I supposed to try to combo kill my opponent when I am on the play with a Double Striker and Gaia's Might and get blown out by Galeblast? Not going to out control my opponent as the game goes long, so, like, maybe that is the way that I'm going to approach this. Maybe when I'm on the play, I just need to try to kill my opponent and not interact with them, and then when I'm on the draw, I board in, like, 8 cards. After double Gaia's Might. This is a hand with reasonable cards that I don't think is strong enough. I think I need a double striker to keep a hand that looks like this. Dig deeper. I think I am supposed to keep this and just pray that it works out. In particular, if I draw an untapped land and I get to play like Viashino, Slaughtermaster, and then Rancor it up or double Rancor it up, like that hand can truly go somewhere. Why is this card darker than everything else that's in my hand, by the way? That's interesting. Alright, missed on land 2, which sucks. I still get a creature that I can Rancor up and then Rancor up again. Like, this is not the end of the world. Alright, Blood Fountain is good. Opponent just controls 4 artifacts already. Okay, this is the sort of thing that I wanted. Now, do I want to just double Rancor this creature? Get in for a large amount of damage now? Or do I want to set up for horrifying next turn? I think I want damage now and force my opponent to deal with this. They're tapped out now. I know both of these are resolving. I'm not possibly losing them. And this way, I'm more likely to force my opponent's removal spell immediately. This is 6 damage. This just, like, absolutely has to be respected. What you got? I mean, that's fine. Like, please use your mana doing that sort of stuff rather than impacting my board. Journey to Nowhere is a very bad draw right now. Let's see. Pretty sure, like, that timing is a mistake. I think you're supposed to do it while I'm tapped out, because, like, if I had the 1 mana green domain spell here, like, I just survived that, and you're nearly dead. But there is no punish here. Go ahead and play this. And it threatens to nearly kill my opponent next turn. This one is worse versus the Krark Clan Shaman, though, as opposed to Weird Ape. Okay. It's still fine so far. Annoying. Means they can just rebuy this as a rebuy that as a blocker. That's a dead draw. I get blown out by a removal spell here. I just have to play into it. I have no choice. A 5/1 double striker, so this blocking in combat does not matter. Get in there. That's fine. It seems like if you were going to crack that anyway, though, there was better timing to do that, where you can still respond with one of the Rancors on this stack. Alright, I hit my opponent for 1 point of damage here, and go on through. Let's see if they're dead next turn. Tribal Flames is not an effective burn spell right now. Alright, so now all of the Deadly Dispute, like draw 2 type cards are in full swing. Missing my white land drop is rough here. Double Mirror Enforcer, Blood Fountain is very fun. Oh, white land drop. Very good. Very good. Untapped white land drop at that. Alright, there's a draw card. An attempt to find a counterspell. It missed. Great for me. Go on in. And thwack my opponent. 1 initial point of damage. 5 more points of damage. Tribal Flames will be a kill next turn. Go ahead and play this out so that this is also threatening lethal. This play will be worse versus a Krark Clan Shaman, but better versus any sort of single target removal spell. Cool, cool, cool. It's fine unless their last card is also a counter spell or Tribal Flames, or if their last card is Reckoner's Bargain that gains them life. Okay. Oh, they're not killing my Curd Ape. Didn't hold priority there. Is that intentional or was that a mistake? Seems like intentional. Munitions is very good here. But I know my opponent is now dead because I just have Tribal Flames in hand. Yep, that's fine. And that's also fine. Seems like they should have sacrificed a treasure over a land. But scoreboard. Okay, got there. So the plan of kill my opponent before they can get going was more or less effective there. On the draw, that's harder to do. Am I sticking with this plan and not sideboarding the cards that I put in for the matchup to destroy evils? I think I want at least a couple of them. Maybe I get rid of these. They're my slowest cards in the matchup, and maybe I just play 2 of these. Makes me a little better versus makeshift munitions. I will buy that, and I just try to stay on the aggressive plan. Not enough mana, auto mulligan. I just have to go to 5 here. This is not going to work. This is the best of the hands that I've seen so far. I'll be throwing back Curdape. Throwing back one of the 2 red cards. I think Tribal Flames. And I think I'm just hoping to get lucky with draws of like Rancor for Fencing Ace to take over this game. That's very much not what I'm looking for. I'm really going to feel play versus draw here, especially after mulliganing. Oh, a Ginger Brute. Sure. Is this just like meant to be in here as life gain? That you just recur with Blood Fountain? Suppose that's what that card is doing. Feels a little weird to me. The good news is I have a decent number of double strikers. The bad news is I don't have a Rancor to really improve them. Sure. I think that means that I've lost this game. I don't think I'm going to beat a 3/3 indestructible here. That's a Gaia's Might. Pretty good. Would I use that this turn? I don't have anything else to do with my mana in this turn cycle. I don't have anything else to do in this turn cycle. Isn't really where I want to be. I can get more damage out of this later. I think I'm just going to hold it. It's worth 2 more damage later. Alright, another bridge. Wellsprings are currently not a big deal. 4, 5, 6 artifacts. Alright, my opponent's just going to hold this back. Not the best for me. I have to find a way to punch through that. And it being indestructible is a major pain. The answer is probably go wide and then finish with Gaia's Might. 3/3 indestructible flying creature at common. Rough. Uh-huh. Okay, so Ginger Brute is effectively unblockable here. Alright, the flyer's coming in. I'll be taking some damage. I don't have a swamp or Gaia's Might as of right now. 2 islands. Alright. Let's try to stay aggressive, I guess. I don't really have a choice. Alright, so I will very begrudgingly use this to kill that creature. Or at least attempt to. I get blown out by a Galv Blast. There we are. Yep. So I've got another one of these, but like at this point, my opponent's card quality is so much higher than mine. Alright. Pseudo unblockable Ginger Brute. I think my opponent just turns everything sideways except Kenku Artificer. They're gonna stay with the evasive stuff. That's fine. I'm just not going to get there. So I will play out a couple more creatures. I don't think I can realistically deal 16 in one turn. I've got to try to kill my opponent next turn, basically, and I've put myself in a, like, 4-for-1 situation against a Shaman. Oh, Galvanic Blast on a Curdape, that's fine. I think that's just supposed to go up my face, though, right? Like, then I'm always just dead the following turn. Alright, Ginger Brute's unblockable. Opponent's just gonna dome me for 4. Again, I think this attack is probably good, too. It doesn't matter, though. Like, they've got me beat. Cool. That just sacrifices a Wellspring, gets a 3-for-1, and I am just 100% dead. Yep. Like, I can Tribal Flames this to stay alive a turn. No. Or no, I do have 4. Yeah, I think my opponent overvalued getting my Curdape out of play. Like, I would be dead this turn. They had just sent that bolt to face. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm going to lose anyway. But it feels correct to just send that upstairs. And there's no way that I can deal 16 damage here. My opponent has 4 cards beyond that. Like, I can do something that potentially exiles this, like a Journey to Nowhere. There we go. I'm just not going to beat the 4 cards that my opponent has remaining. Alright, my opponent cantrip 2. Instead of me getting to remove their creature, they drew 2 cards. Cool, cool. Alright, I've decided how I'm going to win this. I'm just going to time my opponent out. That's my current win condition. Alright. Alright. Actual factual thoughtcast. I think for the first time, my opponents mostly had deadly disputes this match. Alright, there's another one. Sure. That is a lethal threat. That is a lethal threat. Sure. Sure. But wait, there's more. Very nice, Forest. I will concede here. GG's. Alright, overall thoughts on the deck list. Obviously, thumbs down. But from the start, Zoo is not really a playable archetype in Pauper, right? It is less than 2% of the metagame, and for good reason. There are better aggressive decks in the format that have less volatile mana bases. And trying to make Zoo into a playable deck makes you jump through hoops that you shouldn't be jumping through. So, for example, we're trying to be an aggro deck, so we want to stay land light, but we also need kind of at least 2 lands in our opening hand to start enabling things like Gaea's Might and Tribal Flames, and that kind of leaves us in an awkward place. And similarly, like, we want good payoff cards for this, like Tribal Flames, like Rioters, Gaea's Might stuff. But if we're only playing 2 of these, are we leaning heavily enough into that? And like, as a better question, like, if I want to get cute with the Gaea's Might stuff, is this better than just playing like Boggles where the creatures are untargetable to start with? And ultimately, I think trying to make this sort of thing work is just not going to happen. More generally, as far as Pauper goes, this will be my last league with the format for the foreseeable future. I've removed it from the formats that I'm playing. My thoughts on Pauper are still the same. The decks that are the best are so much better than, you know, the brew sorts of things, where it's just not going to be fun for me to play this deck on the channel where I try to showcase like fun and interesting decks. And while like I might have fun with Pauper if I just like play the best decks, like that's not what my audience wants to see. My audience wants to see interesting decks, not just like Affinity and Kuldotha Red that they're going to see every single day in their leagues. So I will come back to Pauper at some point in the future when it sounds exciting to me again. But this is kind of the end for me. Since about November, I've kind of felt this way, and every time I've played a league, it's just kind of reinforced the fact that like this deck isn't fun for me anymore, and like that's okay. Not every format has to be for you, because like there's so many different ways to engage with Magic. So we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. See ya!